allow any impediment to the SIR process, the Supreme Court tells states. The court also extends the deadline for SIR in West Bengal by another week beyond the 14th of February. Will the opposition move a no-confidence motion against the Lok Sabha Speaker? After chaos and soaring political tensions, reports say the opposition led by the Congress could make such a move. Following the suspension of 8 of its MPs by Om Birla, the opposition has accused the Speaker of bias and silencing Rahul Gandhi in the House while shielding BJP MPs. RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat says conferring the Bharat Ratna on VD Savarkar will raise the prestige of the award. The Congress hits back, asks, should Savarkar be honoured for shaping the two-nation theory? In a horrific incident in Kanpur, a speeding Lamborghini plows into multiple vehicles and pedestrians. Eyewitnesses say tobacco tycoon KK Mishra's son Shivam was behind the wheel after claiming the accident was triggered by a seizure that Shivam had suffered. The family lawyer now says it was the driver who was behind the wheel. India and Canada move closer to a diplomatic reset following National Security Advisor Ajit Doval's visit to Ottawa. The two countries will now jointly tackle transnational crimes. This comes ahead of Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney's visit to India. Epstein files set off a political earthquake in the United Kingdom. Prime Minister Keir Starmer's Chief of Staff quits over the appointment of Peter Mandelson as British envoy to the US, despite the latter's close ties to Jeffrey Epstein. There's now mounting pressure on Prime Minister Keir Starmer to step down. Pro-democracy media tycoon in Hong Kong, Jimmy Lai, jailed for 20 years under China's national security law. Critics call it a death sentence for press freedom as global pressure mounts on Beijing. After indicating that Pakistan could end its boycott of the match against India in the T20 World Cup, the Pakistan and Bangladesh cricket boards make fresh demands on the ICC. They now want the 2031 edition of the ODI World Cup to be played under the hybrid model. Hello and welcome to the Times of India. You're watching Headlines at 8 with me, Neha Khanna. Our top story. After days of soaring political tensions in Parliament and suspension of 8 opposition MPs, reports now suggest the opposition parties are exploring the option of moving a no-confidence motion against Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla. This was reportedly discussed at a meeting of the India Bloc held by Congress President and leader of the opposition in the Rajya Sabha, Mallikarjun Kharge. This comes in the backdrop of the opposition alleging that leader of opposition in Lok Sabha, Rahul Gandhi, was not allowed to speak in the House during the discussion on the motion of thanks to the President's address. Speaker Om Birla suspended 8 opposition MPs, including 7 from the Congress, during the first week of the budget session. Last week, the lower house witnessed multiple adjournments and protests from opposition members who sought a response from the government regarding the India-China conflict in 2020 following the publication of extracts in a magazine from an unpublished memoir by former Army Chief General M.M. Naravane. Reports say the opposition may give a notice to move a resolution under Article 94C of the Constitution in order to seek the Speaker's removal for disallowing the leader of the opposition from speaking in the House, for not initiating action against BJP MP Nishikant Dubey, for making unsubstantiated charges against women MPs of the Congress, and suspension of 8 opposition MPs. Those are the charges being levelled by the opposition against Om Birla. Reports suggest a resolution in this regard could soon be moved in the Lok Sabha and signatures of MPs are being procured. The resolution is likely to have signatures of 100 MPs in the Lok Sabha, and getting the signatures of various opposition MPs is under process. The meeting where this issue was discussed was also attended by the Trinamool, the Left, the DMK, the Samajwadi Party, the RJD, Shiv Sena UBT and NCP, spearheaded by Sharad Pawar as well as the RSP. If it does go ahead, this will be the fourth such notice against the sitting Speaker of the Lok Sabha. Remember, apart from suspending 8 opposition MPs, Speaker Om Birla also stated in the House that there was an opposition conspiracy to physically attack Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the Lok Sabha, and that female MPs who had gherowed the Prime Minister's seat were leading the plot. A charge denied by the Congress, which accuses the Speaker of silencing the opposition in a systemic manner. Mohan Bhagwat, the chief of BJP's ideological mentor, the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh or the RSS, has said that if the Bharat Ratna is conferred on V.D. Savarkar, the prestige of the award will increase. Speaking at the 2-day lecture series on 100 Years of Sangh Journey, Bhagwat fielded questions on the delay in conferring the award on Savarkar. He said, "I'm not on that committee, but if I meet someone who is, I will ask them." He then added, if Swatantra Veer Savarkar is given Bharat Ratna, the prestige of the Bharat Ratna will increase. Even without that prestige, he rules millions of hearts. So far, there has been no word on the Bharat Ratna, India's highest civilian award for Savarkar, though the BJP had promised to confer the honour on Savarkar ahead of the 2019 Assembly elections in Maharashtra. The Congress is vehemently opposed to the idea. Congress MP Imran Masood asked, what achievement did Savarkar have that he gave the two-nation theory, that he was the one who worked to get India and Pakistan partitioned? The Congress has framed the demand as an attempt to rewrite history and glorify a deeply controversial figure, while the BJP and the Sangh Parivar project Savarkar as a freedom fighter who endured brutal imprisonment in the Andaman Cellular Jail. The Congress has consistently opposed any state honour for him, citing his controversial views. The party also alleges that Savarkar was linked to Mahatma Gandhi's assassination conspiracy.
लेकिन स्वातंत्रवीर सावरकर को भारत रत्न मिला नहीं मिला, तो भारत रत्न मिला तो उस सम्मान का गौरव बढ़ेगा। बिना उस सम्मान के ही वो लाखों करोड़ों हृदयों के सम्राट बने हैं।
किस बात के लिए दिया जाएगा? मुझे तो ये था कि भारत रत्न जो है बहुत बड़ा सम्मान है। सावरकर साहब ने सबसे पहले 2 राष्ट्र की टू नेशन थ्योरी दी, जिसको बाद में मुस्लिम लीग ने अडॉप्ट किया। मुस्लिम लीग ने और इन लोगों ने मिलकर के सरकारें बनाई, सरकारें गिनाई, और जिस अखंड भारत की बात करते हैं उसको खंड खंड करने का काम तो इन्होंने करा दिया। सावरकर साहब की क्या उपलब्धि थी कि उन्होंने 2 राष्ट्र की थ्योरी दी थी? उन्होंने भारत और पाकिस्तान को बंटवारे कराने का काम किया था, तो इस काम के लिए होगा।
वीर सावरकर जी को भारत रत्न को लेकर भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने भी बहुत बार कहा है। 2014 से इनकी सरकार है। वीर सावरकर जी का नाम इस्तेमाल किया है, अपनी राजनीति के लिए किया है, अपने पॉलिटिकल अपॉर्चुनिज्म के लिए किया है, उनसे वोट बटोरने के लिए किया है, उनके ऊपर पिक्चर आधारित कर ये दिखाने की कोशिश की है कि वीर सावरकर जी के लिए उनके मन में कितना प्रेम है। पर जब बात भारत रत्न की आती है उसको दरकिनार किया जाता है। 2014-2019 में इनकी सिंगल पार्टी मेजॉरिटी थी, फिर भी उस कार्यकाल में इन्होंने उनको इससे नहीं नवाजा। अब 2024 से मिलीजुली सरकार है, कोई भी ऐसा नहीं है, कोई भी पक्ष उनसे कहेगा कि नहीं देना चाहिए, फिर भी अनाउंसमेंट नहीं किया जा रहा है। इनकी कथनी और करनी में यही दिखाई देता है। और सफाई जो अभी आ रही है मोहन भागवत जी से, आरएसएस एक बार कह दे, आप मदरशिप हैं, आप एक बार कह दीजिए दे दीजिए भारत रत्न, कौन आपको रोक रहा है? पर रोक वो रहा है जहाँ पे मंशा नहीं है। हमारी पार्टी की हमेशा मांग रही कि उनको भारत रत्न से नवाजा जाना चाहिए। हमारी मांग को हमेशा दरकिनार किया है। अब मोहन भागवत जी फिर से याद करा रहे हैं, तो मैं उम्मीद करती हूँ सिर्फ याद ही नहीं दिलाएंगे, उनसे ये कार्य करवाएंगे भी।
बजट का हलवा जो बना था वो ज्यादा किसको मिला? आज समय ये है कि 18 बढ़ाए के 0, 18 बढ़ाए के 0, और जो बजट का हलवा बनता है उसका शेयर ज्यादा किसको मिला है? और बजट पर चर्चा इसलिए होनी चाहिए कि किसान के लिए सब रास्ते खोल दिए हैं। अब किसान करेगा क्या? अगर अमेरिका की चीजें आएंगी, कुछ मात्रा में आए, ज्यादा आए। कभी भारत ने अपनी अर्थव्यवस्था खोली थी, और ये बताया गया था गरीब और किसान की तरक्की होगी और खुशहाली आएगी। जब हम पीछे मुड़ करके देखते हैं, अमीर अमीर हुआ है, गरीब गरीब हुआ है। और जो बातें उस समय कही गई थी जब बाजार खोला जा रहा था, उससे ज्यादा अर्थव्यवस्था आज खोल दी हमारी। उदाहरण के लिए हमारे जानवर का भी फीड बाहर से आएगा। फिर झांसी में बने हुए ग्रास और फॉडर रिसर्च इंस्टीट्यूट का क्या होगा, जिसका काम ही ये है कि हमारे जो जानवर हैं उनको खाना कैसा अच्छा मिले, फॉडर। तो अब बताइए, सुनने में आया कि एनिमल फीड भी वहां से आएगा, सोयाबीन का ऑयल आएगा वहां से। हमारे गन्ना किसानों के लिए बताया गया इथेनॉल से आपको खुशहाली तरक्की होगी, अब इथेनॉल भी आएगा। तो ये सब जो बातें हो रही हैं वो ध्यान हटाने के लिए हो रही हैं। ये जहां सत्यमेव जयते लिखा है, यहां राष्ट्रपिता महात्मा गांधी जी का प्रतिमा थी। राष्ट्रपिता महात्मा गांधी पीछे पहुंचा दिए गए और राष्ट्रपिता महात्मा गांधी जी केवल एक बार मिले इनसे, उसके बाद दोबारा नहीं मिले। हम राष्ट्रपिता महात्मा गांधी, समाजवादी, लोहिया जी, नेताजी, उसके रास्ते पे, उनके सिद्धांतों पे चलने वाले लोग हैं। और बाबा साहब भीमराव अम्बेडकर जी का संविधान बचे, सुरक्षित हो, उसके माध्यम से हक मिले, सम्मान मिले, उस रास्ते पे चलना चाहते हैं।
आप समर्थन करते हैं कि नहीं उनके, या विरोध? क्या
जब राष्ट्रपिता महात्मा गांधी दोबारा नहीं मिले उनसे कभी, अच्छा, तो हम तो राष्ट्रपिता महात्मा गांधी के रास्ते पे चलने वाले लोग हैं, लोहिया के रास्ते पे चलने वाले लोग हैं। बाबा साहब
A 10 crore rupee Lamborghini turned VIP Road in Kanpur into a scene of chaos on Sunday afternoon after it plowed into pedestrians and multiple vehicles, leaving at least 6 people injured. The supercar, reportedly driven by Shivam Mishra, son of tobacco tycoon KK Mishra, was allegedly speeding. Reports say Shivam Mishra was driving under the influence of alcohol when he lost control of the car. Eyewitnesses say panic erupted as the roaring luxury car veered wildly, smashing into an auto rickshaw, a parked Royal Enfield motorcycle and people standing alongside the road. The Royal Enfield rider was flung nearly 10 feet into the air, while the bike was dragged under the Lamborghini before the vehicle slammed into an electric pole. One of the injured, Tawfiq Ahmed, told reporters he was standing beside his parked bike when he was hit and thrown several meters away, suffering serious leg injuries. Witnesses claim the driver tried to flee instead of stopping, with bouncers misbehaving with locals in an attempt to shield the driver. Furious passers-by smashed the Lamborghini's windows and dragged the driver out before the police arrived. Now, as outrage grew, the Mishra family claimed the crash was caused by a medical seizure that Shivam had suffered. They said that the boy had suffered similar episodes over the last 6 months. But now, in a twist in the tale, the lawyer for Shivam Mishra has argued before the court that it wasn't Shivam but his driver who was behind the wheel at the time of the accident.
कल थाना ग्वालटोली क्षेत्र में एक लैम्बोर्गिनी से एक एक्सीडेंट की घटना घटित हुई थी। इस सूचना पर तत्काल आवश्यक कार्रवाई की गई थी। जिनको चोट लगी थी उनको हॉस्पिटल भेजा गया था, इलाज कराया गया था। इस प्रकरण में अभियोग पंजीकृत कर लिया है, विवेचना की जा रही है। विवेचना के क्रम में जो भी दोषी होंगे उनके विरुद्ध सख्त कार्रवाई की जाएगी।
सर, इस मामले में कुछ लोगों को डिटेन किया गया है?
नहीं, ऐसा कोई डिटेन नहीं किया गया है। जैसा कि मैंने बताया, अभियोग पंजीकृत कर लिया गया एक्सीडेंट का, विवेचना की जा रही है। विवेचना में जो भी तथ्य प्रकाश में आएंगे उनके आधार पर अग्रिम कार्रवाई करेंगे।
सर, क्या गाड़ी चलाने वाले कुछ ड्रिंक करें या कुछ इस तरह का अभी तो कोई प्रयास?
जैसा कि मैंने बताया, अभियोग पंजीकृत है, पूरे प्रकरण की गंभीरता से जांच की जा रही है। जांच में जो भी तथ्य प्रकाश में आएंगे उनके आधार पर कार्रवाई करेंगे।
एक्सीडेंट क्या, मैं दोपहर में लंच टाइम में लंच करने आता हूं, तो मैं वीआईपी रोड से फूल पार्क से होते हुए आता हूं। मेरा निजी निवास ये थाने के पीछे ही है। तो वहाँ काफ़ी भीड़ लगी थी, तो वहाँ एक लैम्बोर्गिनी कार थी, वीआईपी कार थी, मैंने नाम भी पढ़ा था, तो उसमें देखा कि एक्सीडेंट हुआ था, एक शीशा भी टूटा था। सुनते ही हैं कि वहाँ के जो जितने भी नगर जो क्षेत्रवासी हैं बोल रहे थे लग्जरी कार है, उसने किसी को टक्कर मारी है, 4-5-6 लोग घायल हो गए हैं और पीछे जो एक फॉर्च्यूनर थी उसमें उनके बाउंसर वगैरह चल रहे थे। तो उन्होंने, जब लग्जरी कारों का होता क्या है कि जब लड़ जाती हैं तो उनकी कार लॉक हो जाती है, तो उनके जो बाउंसर हैं उन्होंने शीशा तोड़ के उसको निकाला है और सीधे उसको फॉर्च्यूनर में ले गए। उसके बाद वो कार जो है क्षेत्रवासियों ने विरोध किया, तो उसमें फिर आगे इतना मेरे पास समय नहीं था, तो प्रशासन आया। अब उसके बाद उसको थाने ले गए। कहाँ ले गए ये तो मैंने देखा, मगर आज सुबह मैंने देखा कि गाड़ी थाने में खड़ी है, कार्रवाई उस पर हो रही है।
कितने लोग घायल थे?
4 से 5 हो सकते हैं। एक आज सुबह हमने पेपर भी पढ़ा था, उसमें विशाल त्रिपाठी का भी नाम है, सोनू जी हैं, उनका भी नाम है। और कल भीड़ भी लगी थी, तो जो क्षेत्रवासी बता रहे कि 5-6 लोग घायल हैं उसमें।
किसी बड़े आदमी गाड़ी है?
हाँ, नाम तो नहीं मालूम। अब भाई 12 करोड़ की कार है, जो पेपर में पढ़ा तो कोई बड़ा ही आदमी होगा, 12 करोड़ तो बहुत होता है।
A diplomatic reset is quietly underway as India and Canada seem to have taken their most serious step yet towards repairing fractured ties. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval's visit to Ottawa last week marked a rare and high-stakes security engagement, breaking the freeze that followed the explosive 2023 row over the killing of Khalistani separatist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. After a long period of bitterness, both sides are testing the waters for a cautious thaw. Doval met Canada's top security and public safety leadership, with both capitals signalling a shift away from confrontation and towards control. The talks produced concrete outcomes, primarily an agreement on a shared national security work plan, the posting of security and law enforcement liaison officers in each other's countries, and enhanced cooperation on transnational crime, fentanyl trafficking, cyber threats and immigration enforcement. For New Delhi, the visit also sent an important signal that extremist networks linked to Khalistani causes do not enjoy political cover under Prime Minister Mark Carney's government. India-Canada relations had sunk to historic lows under former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, with accusations, expulsions of diplomats and public acrimony eroding trust. Doval's visit is being widely seen as a prelude to Prime Minister Mark Carney's trip to India, expected in March.
India and Canada have agreed to forge a shared work plan for cooperation on national security and law enforcement issues, and both countries will appoint security and law enforcement liaison officers to tackle issues of mutual concern, including drug trafficking and transnational criminal networks. The steps were agreed on at a meeting between National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and his Canadian counterpart Nathalie Drouin in Ottawa, and are part of efforts by the two sides to normalize relations after a diplomatic row over the killing of a Khalistani separatist in 2023. According to a readout from the External Affairs Ministry, Ajit Doval's visit was part of the regular bilateral security dialogue between the two sides. While noting progress in initiatives focused on ensuring the safety and security of their countries and citizens, the two sides agreed on a shared work plan to steer bilateral cooperation on national security and law enforcement matters. They also agreed to enable practical cooperation on their respective priorities and to appoint security and law enforcement liaison officers. The readout said their respective agencies will further strengthen their existing working relationships. MEA said that this significant step will help streamline bilateral communication and allow timely information sharing on issues of shared concern to Canada and India, including the illegal movement of drugs, especially fentanyl precursors, and transnational organized criminal networks. India and Canada further agreed to formalize cooperation on cybersecurity policy and the sharing of information on cybersecurity issues, and to continue discussions on cooperation related to fraud and immigration enforcement in line with domestic laws and international obligations. In addition to his meeting with Drouin, Doval also held talks with Canada's Minister for Public Safety, Gary Anandasangari. The meeting between Doval and Ruwine is also expected to have paved the way for PM Carney's visit to India, which is to take place sometime in March this year. India-Canada relations had sharply deteriorated after former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau alleged in September 2023 that Indian government agents were involved in the killing of Khalistani separatist Hardeep Singh Nijjar earlier that year, an allegation New Delhi rejected as absurd. With ties sinking to their lowest level in decades, both countries expelled each other's diplomats and exchanged accusations over the activities of Khalistani elements and criminal gangs operating in Canada. The two sides began restoring security ties in late 2024, including discreet contacts between intelligence agencies and law enforcement bodies. After Mark Carney's election as Canadian Prime Minister, both sides took several steps to rebuild bilateral relations, including renewed engagement between security agencies. The meeting between Doval and Ruwine is also expected to have paved the way for PM Carney's visit to India, which is to take place sometime in March this year.
Shockwaves are ripping through Downing Street as British Prime Minister Keir Starmer's inner circle seems to be imploding. His Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney, has resigned over his role in recommending Peter Mandelson for the post of UK ambassador to the United States, despite the latter's close links with Jeffrey Epstein, the late convicted sex offender and pedophile. The explosive fallout of Epstein files has plunged the British government and ruling Labour Party into crisis mode, raising tough questions about judgment, vetting and leadership at the very top of government. McSweeney admitted that his advice was flawed, accepting full responsibility as newly released US Justice Department files reignited scrutiny over Mandelson's ties to Epstein and blew apart what was meant to be a flagship ambassadorial appointment to Washington. The pressure is now squarely on Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Opposition leaders have seized on McSweeney's resignation and are warning that accountability cannot end with one aide's exit. There are now growing calls, including from Starmer's own Labour Party, for the Prime Minister to step down. London's Metropolitan Police, meanwhile, have launched a criminal probe into claims that Peter Mandelson shared market-sensitive information during the 2008 global financial crisis with Jeffrey Epstein. Starmer has apologized to Epstein's victims and conceded that he was misled. The question is, can he survive the Epstein scandal? Or will the scandal topple the British Prime Minister despite no known links between Starmer and the sex offender?
Whether Mandelson had stayed, as was suggested, at Epstein's premises. And the answers given to those questions were intentionally intended to create the impression that Mandelson barely knew Epstein, deliberately to create that impression. I had no reason at that stage to think that was anything other than the truth, and therefore we proceeded. I regret making the decision to have appointed him in the first place. Had I known at the time what I know now or knew in September, I'd have never done it. And that's why today I've apologised for the fact that I appointed him in the first place and I believed his lies. I had no reason at the time to know they were lies. Subsequently, I found out them to be lies. And this week we found out way beyond the lies that we found out in September. We found out what he was up to in the aftermath of the 2008 crash, when most of the government and most of the country was doing its level best to make sure people didn't lose their jobs, their livelihoods and their savings. And at that time, he chose to disclose sensitive secrets to Epstein, almost simultaneously as receiving them.
A fresh political storm is breaking in Britain, and it now carries the shadow of Jeffrey Epstein. A Labour peer at the center of a major donations controversy has now been named in the Epstein files. Lord Wahid Ali, who paid for tens of thousands of pounds worth of clothing for Prime Minister Keir Starmer and Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner, appears in documents linked to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Lord Ali was revealed last year as Keir Starmer's biggest personal donor, funding more than £30,000 for designer suits and spectacles. Angela Rayner also admitted receiving more than £3,000 from Lord Ali for work clothing, triggering a political backlash dubbed Freebiegate. Following the controversy, Starmer, Rayner, and Chancellor Rachel Reeves pledged to stop accepting donations to pay for clothes. Now, the issue has resurfaced with far more serious implications. Emails released by the U.S. Department of Justice as part of the Epstein files reportedly show Lord Ali listed as a guest for dinners hosted by Epstein in New York in 2010. It is not known whether Lord Ali attended those events. The documents also reference Labour heavyweight Peter Mandelson, whom Sir Keir later appointed as Britain's ambassador to the United States, despite Mandelson's previously reported links to Epstein. In one alleged email from 2012, Epstein claimed that Mandelson and a man believed to be Lord Ali were staying on Shelter Island in the Hamptons, a retreat for the global elite. The Mail on Sunday reports that Epstein referred to Waleed, understood to be a reference to Lord Ali, in a private message discussing the visit. Lord Ali owns a property on Shelter Island, now reportedly up for sale. In a statement to the newspaper, Lord Ali's lawyer said he has never knowingly met or communicated with Jeffrey Epstein. But the revelations add new pressure on Prime Minister Keir Starmer as scrutiny intensifies over donations, judgment, and political accountability. Britain's Prime Minister is facing fresh political fallout after his Chief of Staff stepped down amid growing controversy over a senior diplomatic appointment. Morgan McSweeney has resigned from his role after reportedly pushing for the appointment of Peter Mandelson as Britain's ambassador to the United States, despite Mandelson's known links to Epstein. In a statement announcing his resignation, McSweeney said he had personally advised the Prime Minister to make the appointment and accepted full responsibility for that advice. He said that in public life, responsibility must be owned when it matters most, adding that stepping aside was the only honorable course. Prime Minister Keir Starmer praised McSweeney's role in rebuilding the Labour Party after its historic defeat, crediting him with helping deliver a landslide election victory. Starmer said McSweeney's dedication, loyalty, and leadership were central to Labour's return to power. Following the resignation, Starmer appointed Jill Cuthbertson and Vidya Alakesson as acting chiefs of staff, both taking up the roles with immediate effect. Both had served as deputy chiefs of staff since 2024. The opposition was quick to respond. Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch said the resignation was long overdue, but argued the Prime Minister himself must also take responsibility. In a post on X, Badenoch accused Starmer of deflecting blame, saying he repeatedly shifts responsibility onto others for decisions that ultimately rest on him.
Pakistan and Bangladesh's demands from the International Cricket Council have just grown bigger amid negotiations with the ICC over Pakistan making a U-turn on its decision to boycott the 15th February T20 World Cup match against India in Colombo. The two countries' cricket boards have made fresh demands. The 2031 edition of the ODI World Cup is set to be played in India and Bangladesh. Pakistan and Bangladesh now want the current hybrid model of hosting to be extended until that edition. At present, the hybrid model is applicable only until 2027. The extension would allow Bangladesh and Pakistan to play all their matches in Bangladesh and not in India. On Sunday, the ICC held a meeting with the Pakistan Cricket Board and the Bangladesh Cricket Board at Lahore's Gaddafi Stadium to to discuss Pakistan's decision to boycott the T20 World Cup match against India scheduled for the 15th of February in Colombo. Earlier, the PCB had already made 3 demands to break the deadlock: increased compensation for Bangladesh, a participation fee for Bangladesh despite its T20 World Cup ouster, and hosting rights for a future ICC event. That's all the time we have on this edition of Headlines at 8. Thanks for watching. Do join us again at the same time tomorrow. Bye for now.